And we're live for the second panel in English on the Burnout Global Awareness Week. Welcome everyone who is watching it either live or the recording. Thank you for being here. The first Global Burnout Awareness Week is taking place until tomorrow, December 4th. Our mission in this event is to increase awareness around burnout, help eliminate stigma around the syndrome, and promote a public understanding of its causes, consequences, and treatments. This week is being filled with speeches from specialists and stories of people who have overcome burnout and will be broadcast here on YouTube. Guests from 5 countries are present, including Brazil, Netherlands, Germany, and many more. This event is free, nonprofit, and open to the participation of volunteers who want to share their experience in some way. Help us spread the word by posting with the hashtag Burnout Awareness Week and learn more at burnoutawarenessweek.org. I am Carol Mutter-Steiner, a Brazilian writer based in the Netherlands. I went through 2 episodes of burnout, and now I write and speak about my story with the syndrome and what it has taught me about myself, about work, and about the world. And I'm here today with Thorsten. For 15 years, he's in the field of UX, user experience, supporting clients to create meaningful products, platforms, and experiences. During his career, he has worked with enterprise-level clients such as Red Bull and Intel. At the moment, Thorsten is working as a strategic UX consultant and coach, while besides he speaks at conferences and provides coaching and mentorship for other creatives or companies. Welcome, my friend. Good to see you here.
Hey there. Warm welcome from my side as well. And let me say thank you for having me, and thank you for inviting me to talk about this, as you already said, so important topic. And I think, it's so important that we all talk much more about this and make it more normal to talk about this, like we talk about a broken leg or things like this. So as I said, really thank you very much for having me here, and I'm happy to be here and to talk and to provide some of my experiences, and
very good.
Great to be here.
So I met Thorsten at the Adobe Max conference, which was virtual worldwide when was it again?
In the end of October, so the last week of October, I think,
Yeah, so because I use Adobe software for a lot of my work, I got the notification of the event, the conference, and then I was just reading through it, like maybe something that's interesting on design or UX or something. And then I saw the UX of Burnout. And I was really impressed that Adobe would have a talk about burnout. And then I thought maybe it's another concept. It's like the car burnout or something. And then I read it was actually your story and your experience. And then I watched it. And so who is watching now, I will link in the description after this talk ends. I will link in the description so you can also watch the full talk. Today we'll be like chatting to each other, but he has a presentation while he walks us through his whole story and the sabbatical. And I was so inspired to see that even big companies such as Adobe are willing to share the story and giving space to people to treat it as a thing that happens, that there's a lot of measures that we can take to prevent it. But in the meantime, we sure need to talk about it and reduce the stigma and make people feel less, alone in this. And so first I want to ask you, walk us through a little bit on your experience with burnout. And also I want to know, how is it for you? How has it been to be talking about this in public?
So maybe let's start with the second question. For me,
okay.
it's not as hard as some people think it is for me to talk about. And so what I realized when so what I was talking about at Adobe Max, and what I always tell is that a burnout is a long ongoing thing, right? It's not like now I'm in a burnout and then it's gone at some time. It's an ongoing process that brings you deeper and deeper in what you call the burnout spiral, right? You're going down, and so for me it was going over years. So my story starts in 2009, actually, when I found my dream job, and it's still my dream job. So as you said, I'm a UX designer, and I became a UX designer the first day on this new job I started in 2009 at a digital agency here in Hamburg. And when they asked me on my first day, hey, do you want to be a UX designer? And I said, I don't really know what it is, but it sounds really great. So I give it a try. And that's how I became a UX designer more than almost 12 years ago. And I really loved that job. But that also, and this is the first thing that's really important to understand, that for a long time, there are things going on that bring you further and further down this spiral, and that it's important to know that for yourself, but as well as for your friends or family, but also colleagues, right? From your people, from your team. If you see symptoms on their side, to help them and to provide help, or to try to provide help. And so for me, it was, I think for a long time, I didn't really realize what was going on. And even when I realized, okay, things are going on, I wasn't able to make the turn. And that's also really important to know. And so the good thing for me was when things really got bad, I already had seen a therapist for some years before that, and so I already had a basis, and I knew where my personal topics are and what things are going on the inside. So for me, it was like at one day, and it was in the end of 2018. I realized, okay, when I go back to work the next day, I will physically fall down. And as I said, that was still a big luck for me, because many other people, they go to work the next day and they fall down physically. Yeah. And so I was able, after not a very long time, to start working actively on myself. So working on this, with professional help, but also with myself. And I had certain things I was doing. Maybe we talk about this later. So that was really good. And after staying home for, I don't know, maybe 6 weeks or something like this, so I realized now is the time to get a change of location, and I felt like I need to get outside of my apartment, outside of the city, somewhere else. And I always wanted to walk the Camino, the St. James Way in Spain, to Santiago de Compostela. And so I boarded a train to France and went there in end of April of 2019. And went there. And so why I'm telling you this already now is because on my first day, so when I started, on the first day, you go over the Pyrenees, I think is the English word, I don't know, the mountains between France and Spain. Uh-huh. And so on my first day in the evening, when I came to Roncesvalles, which is what's the English word? A monastery, I think that's the word. And so very famous place. And I was sitting for dinner with 3 other random people, a couple from Australia. I'm still in contact with them. It's great. And a priest from Great Britain. And so everybody was like telling his or her story about why am I doing the Camino. And this was the moment when I was thinking of, okay, do I tell story or don't I tell? And so I decided, no, I want to tell my story. And I just said, okay, that's what's going on with me. That's why I'm here. And I think this is a very important point in this story, because that's where I decided, yeah, I want to tell my story. And it was after doing it at this point, I told not everyone else, but whenever I had a more meaningful talk with people on the way, I told my story. And I think for this reason, it became normal for me to talk about this. And when I came back, I was away for, I think, 7 weeks. So when I came back after 7 weeks to Germany and to Hamburg, so I'm from Hamburg in Germany, I continued telling my story when people ask, or when I felt like, okay, now it's a good point to tell the story. And what I realized is that there were many people who were really interested in it, and who were telling me, yeah, I know that feelings and I know that situations, or I am in such a situation at the moment. And so what I realized, that many people were really thankful that somebody was talking about this, because as you already said, it's so often people are alone with this topic. And this is a huge problem, I think, because we are not alone. It's the number one reason for people not being able to work. It's mental issues. It's not broken legs, it's not broken arms, it's not whatever. It's mental issues. But still we are not talking about it. I experienced the same in my agency. I said to them, hey, please tell people why I am not there. And I realized when I came back to work that there were people who were asking, okay, why have you been away? What was going on? And I was like, hey, didn't they tell you? I hope they would. And so, yeah, as I said, for me, it pretty soon became quite easy to talk about. And I realized there were many people who were thankful about somebody talking about this topic and bringing it from a secret place to the public. And so that's where I decided, yeah, I want to talk more about this. And so since I built up a great connection to Adobe, so I'm not working for Adobe or something, but they asked me to join an event here in Hamburg in May, I think, 2019. And so my connection to Adobe started then, and I did another appearance in a live stream for the IXDA International Design Day. I don't know, in September 2000. So, and then they asked me. So Rufus, which is I would say is already a friend from Adobe now, asked me, hey, we are doing the Adobe Max conference in Europe in 2020 in Lisbon. Do you want to do a talk there? And I said, yeah, it would be great. And he asked, what would be a topic? And I was thinking about it, and I said, okay, that might be the right place to bring this topic even more to the public, right? And to talk about. And well, as we all know, then COVID came, and so the Adobe Max in Lisbon didn't happen. But when we decided, hey, we want to do an online global Adobe Max experience, they came back to me, or Rufus came back to me and said, hey, do you want to do something here? And I was like, yeah, great, would be cool. And I said, yeah, I do my talk there and do it at Adobe Max. And so, as I said, for me, it was a process, realizing that I, for myself, need to talk about, and not to for a very long time, I was fighting all the fights only with myself on the inside. And I think on this Camino, I decided, no, I want to talk about this with other people. And so it was also a process when I realized, okay, yeah, it's good for me. It seems to be good for other people as well, or there are people that are thankful that I do this. And so one thing came to the next, right? And then the opportunity to talk about this. And I said, yeah, okay, that's maybe the right next step to bring it to another stage. And I can tell. So I did this at Adobe Max, and I already did it at another meetup in Belgium, so online, for example. And I always meet many people who, again, are really thankful that somebody is talking and are thankful for the starting point. Yeah, now we are having a talk about this topic, and that's why I'm also really happy to be here, right? Because still, we still have a long way to go to make this more normal, to understand, okay, it's an illness, and well, you can help, and you can help with certain things there, but it's important to do so, and it's important to get this out of the out of the dark corner where nobody is looking at it. It's a normal thing. Many people are dealing with it, and yeah. So again, that's why I'm really happy to be here and to talk about this.
Yeah, you were talking, and I just kept on thinking of this thing of burnout and mental illness in general being this big secret, you know, that, and it's so dangerous and damaging for everyone, because if you don't experience, then you don't know what the other person is going through. So if you say something that is extremely hurtful, you don't even have the information. And if you're going through this, it's extremely painful. And when I had my second burnout here in the Netherlands, I had a psychologist, and I had a coach that I saw just a few times here, and I had like doctors and a team, and they were all like, every one of them was telling me, you don't have to talk about it. Which I understand that on one hand, you don't need to feel obliged to talk about it, and the companies are not necessarily ready to have these conversations. But it was also so painful for me because I didn't say anything to my boss. I was just saying that I was on a sick leave and the sick leave wouldn't end. And then when we finished the contract, then he asked me, you had a burnout, didn't you? And then I said, well, yeah. And I posted on LinkedIn. I started all this thing like 2 weeks later. So he would know eventually.
Yeah.
But I've heard stories of people saying, I'm going to be fired if I say something, and to some extent, there is a real danger that some companies won't be able to, manage that information. But there's also so much, this aura of let's keep this a secret and let's be everyone in the same room, and then every one of us has some issues, but we're not gonna talk about it. We're just gonna keep it quiet, and that's so toxic. And it's really good to see that we're like slowly breaking down those walls. How was their reaction because you suggested the topic of burnout? How was their reaction to that?
Oh, so Rufus was totally fine, and he really liked the idea of me doing this, and he was like really supportive in a way that he said, yeah, that's great, and it's so important to talk about this, and thank you. And so whenever I posted about, okay, I'm going to do this, he was always like commenting, yeah, it's so great that you talk about this. So yeah, he was really, really supportive, and was really, I think, really happy that someone was talking about this, and maybe bringing another topic to the table, right? Besides all the great creative topics and sessions that you had there at the conference. So that was really great to see. Yeah, there is somebody, or there's even this huge company who are giving me this room, and who are giving me the feeling of they really appreciate that somebody is bringing this topic to the conference. So that was really great. I can't say anything else there.
Amazing. And so we have people from many parts of the world watching, and I know the reality of burnout in Brazil, and I know in the Netherlands, because I have experience in both countries, so I have international experience. And I know people from the US. But how is it in Germany? Because I know a little bit, but I don't know that much actually. So how often people are burning out? How is the work environment? I know you cannot generalize it, but like culturally, from your experience, what are the things that might have led you to burning out?
So I think important to know is that so a burnout is not there. There is not this one thing, right, that brings you into the burnout. And I can tell there is. So when I was working with myself, so recovering actually, I was working with myself, and I was working on lots of issues from my childhood. And issues that does not mean there were really bad things happen, right? But it's like so you might build up subconscious behaviors in your childhood that still are there, and that still can be triggered by certain situations. And and the good thing for me was I already knew about some of these things, so I knew where I have to work with, right? So what I can tell is that it was, since I really liked my job, and I really liked what I do, and I really liked the projects I worked on, and I really liked the team I was working with. I can tell I used the job to gain a lot of self-affirmation, right? So to give me the feeling, yeah, I'm good because I'm successful in the job, right? So there was I was not like working 60 hours per week or something like this, right? So it was not like this. I was working too much, but not 60 hours a week. And most of the time I was working too much because I wanted to do so, because it gave me a great feeling, right? And it helped me to maybe cover other problems I had. I definitely can tell that. And so these other problems I had, some of them had the basis, as I said, already in my early childhood, right? So these are things I had to work on, and I had to deal with, and I had to understand, because they caused or they were the basis for these things going on. So so what happened for me is, as I said, for a long time I was already sometimes working too much, but all the time taking too much self-affirmation and things like this from the job. So giving it a way too high importance actually to me. And so I had the situation then in the agency that some things changed. So the management changed. I had some issues with my new CEO, and issues does not mean that we were fighting all the time or something. It was not like this, right? And he's not a bad person, but somehow we didn't really. I would say we didn't really function really well together for some reasons. And some things, I think some things are not okay that he did, but also, for example, the company they were open when I said, hey, so I was already away for like 6 weeks with my burnout, and now I feel like, so I have to go outside. I have to go on a hike. Can we do like something? You pay me a very small amount of money, so I still have my health insurance running, because here in Germany we have this public health insurance, and it's you pay this automatically with your salary from the job. So as long as you get a salary, your health insurance is paid. So, and they were open, and they gave me more than just a little amount of money, and that was pretty cool. And I did not have to pay back everything of it. So it was not like everything was bad, right? But still, there were some things I still think they were not okay. So, and when in, I think 2017 or beginning of 2018, so the situation changed, and we had these issues. And what happened then is that these so still I was taking so much self-affirmation from the job, and then there was the new boss who was giving me the feeling that it's not good what I'm doing, right? So he was not destroying, but maybe lowering this self-affirmation I got from the job, and that's a real problem. That's a typical burnout mechanism, right? So you're already working too much, and working too much can also mean you're like giving too much mental energy into your job, and this works for a very long time, as long as you get the affirmation from other people as well. And when then a situation turns up that you do not get this anymore, this really breaks you then. And this is a real problem, because it, and I did not have the problem with the whole team, right? So the clients, my team, they all were great, and they really, I would say, they really liked me, right? And how I worked. So it was only this one person, but that was enough to totally turn me down. And this is important to know that. So my problems were there for a very long time, and it was a very long process bringing me in this situation where this one person was enough to turn me down. And this is important to know. And think this mechanism is really similar all over the world.
Yeah.
So what's important to know here in Germany, as I said, we have a public health insurance, which is pretty good. So if I'm sick, I can go to the doctor, and it's not like in the US where I have to have a private health insurance, or otherwise they will send me a huge invoice. So that's good. The problem that you still have here, that mental doctors they are not rare, but it's hard to get an appointment with them, especially if you're on public health insurance. And so the problem is, it's not like, okay, I'm feeling like I'm really not okay, I need to see somebody, you won't find. And that's a really big problem. And they are working on this, so things are a little bit better. You can go like somewhere and have at least an 1 hour talk with someone, and they give you like, they give you a paper, and they give you some tips, and you can ask here and look there for an appointment. But it's really hard, right? And as I said, I was still lucky. I was still able to go into action. I would say many other people are not, and for them it's a real problem, because the next step would be to go to the hospital, right? And that's not good.
Yeah.
And so this is a real problem, I would say, to find professional help. So since I'm for a long time in my job, I earn enough money, so I always had the opportunity to get private professional help, and I did so, but not everyone has this opportunity. So this is a problem actually here, that it's not so easy to get an appointment in the moment when you need it. And in this moment, you're not able to call like 10, 20, 30 different doctors. And that's a real problem here, I would say. And so again, if you're not able to do some things on your own anymore, that's a huge problem. Or if you have like people around you that can help you with this. So I would say, compared to the world, we still have a really good situation here because of this whole health insurance situation. That's really good. And so, for example, when you are sick here, you can be on sick leave for up to 6 weeks, and you still get your normal salary from your job, which is good. And after 6 weeks, if you're still sick, this is changed, and you get like, I think it's 60% or 66%, I'm not sure, from your salary, but this is paid from the health insurance then up to 1 year, I think. So, right, if you're really in an even worse situation than I was, you're not falling out of the system, and that's good. So you don't have to, money is not a problem, and this is good, right, for most of the people. But still, since it's hard to get professional help, and so for me, it's like, I don't have kids yet, for example, and so I don't have a family that is relying on me yet, right? And so this makes things easier. I think if you're like, if you already have like kids and things like this, it's way harder. And this is what I hear from people as well, right? That so for me, it was pretty easy to go on this hike, right? And I know that, and this is also a privilege I had. I also think there are always ways, but sometimes it's way harder to find them if more people are affected by it. And I don't say people are not affected or weren't affected by me, like family or girlfriend, right? It's still, many people were affected by my mental illness as well, because you are hurting people, and right, and this is also important to know. And the bad thing is that you are hurting people and still you're not able to take help from other people. You know that things are wrong, and you know, okay, I need help, but still you won't be able to take the help from other people. Still you're like, no, leave me alone, right?
Yeah. It takes a while.
This is also important to know. So yeah, from the financial point of view, I think it's way better here in Germany than many other countries, because you are not like turning poor when you're out of the job for half a year or something like this. That's good, but still it's hard to find this professional help, and I think this is a real problem, right? If I have a broken leg, I can go to the doctor and bam, there I am. And it's not the same with mental issues. You cannot just go to the doctor and wait and then you go in. No, that's not possible. And I think that's a real problem here in Germany.
Yeah, it's the same here. I had to wait for 6 weeks for the first appointment with the psychiatrist. And then after 6 weeks, he said he would not be able to help me because I didn't speak Dutch. And it took me like 1.5 years to get a psychiatrist here, because also I had to look for, I don't live in a big city, so I had to look for a psychiatrist that would also be willing to speak English. And you cannot get a doctor from outside your area, which is really weird. Because in Brazil, it's there's some differences, and if you have the money, then you have more access, and here everyone has the same kind of access, which is like there's pros and cons in that. There's one thing, a part of your story that I really like, that it's the Camino. When I had the first episode, I went to Chile, and I traveled for 36 days. And I didn't do like one big hike because I'm really lazy, but I did like some small hikes, couple kilometers one day, couple kilometers another day. And I was surrounded by nature, and that was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. And I was really, surprised to see that you also did something like that. So tell us a little bit, why did you decide to do that? And how did that impact your recovering process?
So I was already do hiking for some years, and I already knew that hiking gives me a special form of inner peace, I would say. So if and you can read this in many books, so it's I think I'm not the only person who feels like this. It's like walking really helps you to bring peace to your mind, and to focus on things, and to let things happen in your brain and in your heart. And so therefore, as I said, I always wanted to do this, and I knew many other people before me did it for the same reason, right? So I'm not the first one who did it for this reason, and it just felt right to do this. And so what especially was great what is great on the Camino, or on a similar way. So it's a pretty long distance. I was hiking to Santiago de Compostela, and then going on to Finisterre, which is literally the end of the world. So in the medieval, people thought this is the end of the world, right? And so I was hiking for almost 1,000 kilometers, I think, which is a long distance, right? But so the way is not too hard, because there are not many mountains like you have to cross. You can, on every day, you can decide how long you want to go. There's always an opportunity to get shelter, to sleep, to eat. So you don't have to carry much weight, because you don't have to carry any food, or not much water to drink, because there is there is the next store or the next bar where you can eat is close. And so if you do a lot of hiking, it's well, it's not an easy hike, but it's easy because you don't have to plan too much. You can just walk. And what I realized that after a few days, so when the starting point was a few days away, but the destination was still like weeks away from me, this is when you, for me, when you get to a point of total mental freedom, I would say, because there is nothing important besides how far do I go today and what do I eat for dinner.
Mm-hmm.
And so you don't have this mental freedom in your daily work and life. I can tell. And so this is really this is really mental peace that you get there. And also this forces you to confront with yourself, because when you just walk for an hour and just think about things, all the thoughts, they come, and all the feelings, they come. And this, you have to stand up to this. So I had a rule for myself that every day for at least 1 hour, I actively think about my issues and think about certain things or feel about certain things. And so this is really good. And sometimes it's hard, and sometimes you might cry, right? So there is a saying that everyone who walks the Camino is at least crying one time.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, it's definitely happening. I can tell this.
Nice.
But this is good, because yeah, you are forced to stand your feelings, and this really helped me actually too. And I'm still, and it's still good to know that it works this way. But these days, because these days when I am in stressful situations, and like I feel like, okay, many thoughts and things are going on in my brain, and I'm like, I feel like I'm always in a hurry and stuff like this, right? I know it's still good to go outside, to walk for an hour. And I know, yeah, I need to give myself like 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then things get calm, right? And I calm down. And so this also helped me, because I still know this is a very good tool I can use even nowadays. But as I said, I think the most important thing for me was like, okay, that I had this room where nothing was important besides how far do I go today.
Yeah.
And this gives you room. Nothing is important besides how far do I go today. And in this mental freedom and room, you start thinking about things, and you start feeling about things, and you feel like, okay, feelings that for a long time were hidden somewhere inside you, they are coming back, and they're showing up to you, and you have to withstand them. And this might be hard sometimes, but this really helps. I can tell. Well, and in the end, if you walk like for 1,000 kilometers, you come back like, okay, there is nothing that can shock me anymore, right? Because if I have done this, and yeah, it gives you a great feeling. And also what I can tell when I came back to Hamburg, it's like you realize, okay, what is really important? I lived just from my backpack, and it weighed like, I don't know, maybe 10, 11 kilogram.
Mm-hmm.
And that was enough for living for like 7 weeks. Well, I know you need some money to pay for like a bed and dinner, right? But so you're coming back like, okay, yeah, what's really important? And this also works for the job, for example, right? So I still love my job, and when I came back, I loved it, and I realized, yeah, but this is a job, and there are other things that are important as well, and this is really also important to do. And it was important for me to come back and to focus more on private life, right? And to focus on friends and love and relationship, and to realize, so all these things I did with Adobe, for example, this was besides my job actually. And I realized, okay, there's something else than my job, and there are other opportunities also in the job sector, right? And so learning this and realizing that I'm good the way I am. So because this was really important, right before I broke down, I was thinking like, okay, maybe I have to change. Maybe I'm not right.
Mm-hmm.
So, and recovering, I realized, no, I'm okay. And the way I do my work, for example, is okay as well, because my team and the clients, they say to me, yeah, this is great how you do it. And they want to work with me. And so this gave me the confidence, yeah, well, I'm okay the way I am, and the way I do things is okay as well. And so I realized after like some month, so I returned to the job actually when I came back from the Camino, because I felt like I have to. There was still unfinished business, I think I said in my talk. And so I realized, yeah, I need to go back there. And it was good because it gave me this confidence that the way I do my stuff and the way I work is great and it's good. But I also realized after some months, now it's time to go and to leave. And now it's time to leave without having a plan B, actually. So without having an idea what I want to do next. I felt like, no, I need to go, and I need this freedom to find out what I want to do next. Well, and I wanted to go traveling actually, which did not happen in March, as we all know. But still, it was good. And I did some work over the year. I did some hiking. I was like outside every day, which was great. So, and I can tell, like 5 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to just quit the job without having a plan. What comes next? Yeah. And this also showed me, yeah, things changed for me, definitely.
Nice, awesome. What would you say to someone who had just found out that they are burned out?
I think, well, first important thing is when you realize by yourself, get professional help, because as we already discussed, it might take some time. And if you're like in a phase where you actively find out by yourself, so it's not like, there are people who can't do anything anymore. They are like just sitting in the corners staring to the wall, right? So this can happen as well. So if you are really lucky, if you're really realizing it by yourself, and so try to get professional help as quick as possible, but also look for other sources. So what I realized and what I learned is there's never this one thing that helps you. It's every one of us has a personal set of tools and behaviors and things that you need to do. And I think you need to give yourself room and time. So when I was home with my burnout, I realized, and I was lucky that I was able to do this pretty soon, I need to give myself a certain daily routine, actually. So for example, I went out every day for at least a 2-hour walk, and just was walking outside. And so I had some podcasts and audiobooks that dealt with this topic, right? I had one book that really helped me. I had another that was really good. I had a few podcasts with certain episodes dealing with certain topics. So I fed myself with or tried to help myself also by myself, by listen to these things and work with these things. As I said, I knew which my topics were or still are, and so that was something I could start working on. So, and this is really important. When you are able to take action, you have to try to do this, and it's really hard. It's sometimes really hard to get out of the bed in the morning, but this is really important to do so. And it's important to not watch like Netflix or something like this the whole day to put it down and not to feel it, but you have to work with it, and you have to find your tool set. And this is professional help. That might be certain books, that might be, as I said, a podcast or audiobook. Or so what I did, well, I'm a UX guy, and I do lots of workshops and put posters on walls. So this is what I did with myself, actually, with the help of a book or with a few books. And I did, an ongoing workshop about myself on my kitchen wall, right? And put myself and my issues and my inner feelings and subconscious behaviors and stuff like this onto my kitchen wall. And so I worked on this on my walks, and then afterwards put it on the wall. That was the right setup for me, actually. And yeah, it's important for everyone to find his or her certain or specific setup of tools, because it's not the one thing, it's always a setup. And it can also be, for example, certain music, right? So if you go for a walk and listen for some music, or meditation, for example, which was also really important for me. But yeah, it's important to get into action, to seek for help. I think also to ask for help, and in your at the people that are around you, right? Because you feel like, no, I don't want to, but it's important that these people know what's going on, at least like your girlfriend or boyfriend, or your family. It's important for them to know what's going on also. So you don't have to be open to the world, right? But be open to your people. This also helps, because I think if you start at least talking about with a few people, or your family, you cannot run away anymore. That's also important, because if you're dealing on it only on your own, and I was really good in doing all this stuff on my own, I can tell. But the thing is, when you do it only on your own, it's really easy to step away from it, and because nobody knows, right? And because when you're in the burnout, so I would say I'm a great actor, because I can act like nobody knows what's going on my inside.
Yeah.
And this is bad, and this is a problem. And I think since this burnout thing is not like snip, there you are, but it's ongoing. You learn to hide it, and people might not be able to recognize. And so you have to break through this wall, actually. And therefore, I think from today's point of view, and I didn't do really well on this, I can tell, right? But from today's point of view, I would say, hey, get the confidence to at least talk to someone in your close, and you're closer from your friends or family. Talk to them, because this also avoids yourself from stepping away and hiding it again. So it's not the one thing, it's some things I think that you have to do, and important is to start immediately, to break through this I'm hiding it from myself. This is really important.
Yeah, that's a very important topic that we learn how to hide it, and we hide it very well for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say to someone who has a parent, a boyfriend or girlfriend or a friend going through burnout?
Well, the problem is, it is not enough to talk to the person and say to them, hey, I think is everything okay? I think you are not really okay. And then the person, for a chance of 95%, will say, no, I'm fine, everything is good, right? And so I think also it's helping another person is a process. You might have to ask again and again. And I think there is not this one recipe that helps. What I can tell is the person, for a good chance, will not take your help on the first time. You have to don't give up, actually, on the person, and be there and ask again. And maybe I think it's important to provide certain ideas of help. So instead of asking, hey, is everything okay? Do you need help? Provide a certain thing, provide I don't know, hey, I've heard of this, you can just go there and talk about these things. Or hey, here's this great book, for example. This might help you. Or even buy this book and give it to the person. So because the person, as I said, might not even realize by him or herself that he or she is already in this thing, and the person might be embarrassed if you say, hey, I think you're in the burnout, right? Even if it's family or wife or husband or girlfriend or boyfriend. So instead of being more okay, yeah, is everything okay? Can I provide you help? Think about certain things that you can provide or ideas that you can provide. And I think this might help, and it might, or makes it much easier for the person to take this help. If you come up with a certain, hey, here's a book. Somebody told me it's great. Maybe this is cool for you as well. Won't you have a look? Hey, I read this here. Hey, here's this great podcast, for example, because these, I think certain ideas for help are really important for people. And so this is what I would suggest to do. So don't give up.
Yeah, that's
Stay
very
there and ask, or not ask, but provide help again and again, and provide certain ideas of help, because yeah, asking in general will not help, and the person will not take it. I think.
Yeah, I agree. What do you feel that the world still didn't quite get about burnout?
So first thing is what I already said. It's like the burnout starts much earlier than you always think. And it's not like, okay, it's not like a broken leg. Now it's broken, right? It's more like, it's like process, and it can be a long ongoing process. So I think this is really important to know, that you already can be in a certain stage of it, and things still feel okay and still feel normal, but might not be okay anymore. Then, especially as a creative person, so I always thought, like, as long as and I'm talking about this in my talk, as long as I'm creative, things are okay. And this is not true. So I think, especially for us creative people, it can be really, really harmful, because when you take your job for self-affirmation and the burnout spiral turns faster and faster, you need more and more of the self-affirmation, and you work more and more, and you work like, yeah, this gives me a good feeling. I did a great project. Yeah, this is cool. I did a great concept here, or a great design there, or whatever. And so when it turns like this, your own creativity is harming you. Actually, it's burning you literally from your inside, right? Because it's like you burn your inside to be more and more creative, and you are still creative. So it's not like you don't have ideas anymore. You are still functioning until the end. It's there, but you need to realize that this great thing of creativity, and this thing that fulfills you, and that is so nice and cool, might turn into a bad thing when you use it the wrong way. And this is really important to know for us as creative people. Yeah. And the last thing is, well, we already talked about this. We all have to understand that it's okay to have a burnout. And it's the same like having a broken, well, it's not the same, but it's when you have a broken leg, we are talking about, yeah, I have a broken leg. Okay, bad luck, whatever. Right. And I think we have to think with the same attitude about these mental issues like burnout and depression, right? So in fact, burnout, so in terms of the in Germany, we have the ICD code, which is, you have a code for every sickness. I don't know if it's a global thing, not sure. So, and burnout is not, there is no ICD code for burnout. Like, burnout is a form of depression, and that's it. And you have to name it. So I think the problem is sometimes burnout maybe sounds still too cool, right? So yeah, I had a burnout, because I worked so much. I think only a few people think like this, right?
Yeah, but it happens. It happens.
Yeah, and burnout is a form of depression. Name it as what it is. It's a form of depression, and there is not like, okay, I have a depression or not. There are many different. There are many shades of depression, right? And this is also important to know. And there's not this one point when it starts and this one point when it ends. It's more like, okay, I'm going down, and then I can go up again. And yeah, so this is the last thing important to know, I think. And yeah, as we both already said, it's so important to talk much more about it, because there are many more people than we always think that are affected in some sort this. And this is what I realized wherever I talk about this, there are so many people coming to me and telling me their story or parts of their story. And yeah, there are even more people than I thought that are affected. And so let's change these things in terms of talking more about this.
Yeah, we don't need to keep it this secret.
True.
It doesn't help. Thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for watching it live. We had several people watching. Thank you for watching the recorded session. Earlier today, we had Kathy Mann, a writer from South Africa, talking about stress management and how to find a little bit of sanity in the middle of crisis such as 2020. And in half an hour, we're going to have another talk in English with Charlene Rimsha. She's a psychotherapist from the US, and she has a body-related work that relates to trauma and burnout. And we're going to talk about giving ourselves a break. And tomorrow we have Dr. Jerry Puleo talking about workplace burnout and overachievers, people pleasers. And she's going to share some of the findings of her ongoing research on women and burnout. She's been studying burnout for over almost 30 years already. And so it's going to be great. And tonight in Portuguese, we're going to have Damião Silva talking about burnout among psychologists. And we're on the second half of the Burnout Awareness Week. Next year, we're going to have many more attractions, and this is going way higher than I was expecting, actually. I just wanted to do something with my close friends from burnout, like, okay, let's just talk about it. But it has become really big already, which shows how important it is to talk about it, how many people need to hear, how many people are willing to hear about it. And we just need to find certain ways of doing that. And I really appreciate that you share your story, Thorsten. I hope that you have a brilliant path with a lot of mental health. And I hope to see you again soon. And thank you for watching. And I'll see you in half an hour with Charlene.
Thank you very much for having me. It was great. And as I said, great that you organized this and giving this room to talk about these topics. That's great for all of us, for whole society. And so thank you very much for having me and letting me share my story. I really appreciate what you do here. That's really great. So thank you very much. And I'm looking forward for the next talks, I can tell for myself.
Great. So the live streaming is